In this episode of WildFed, we head down to Georgia to find North America's only caffeinated plant.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that it's got the caffeine, but it's also got the theobromine, that thing that people are after in the chocolates.
I call it an ethereal buzz. It's kind of like that, it's just kind of a nice feeling.
Then we're off to the wetlands of South Carolina to remove a giant nuisance alligator.
Hit him again. Wouldn't think he'd be able to hide in this shallow water.
If we're successful, we'll bring our harvest back to a local dockside restaurant and share a meal, complete with some authentic Southern hospitality. I'm Daniel Vitalis, a modern-day hunter-gatherer. I didn't grow up hunting, fishing, or foraging. My passion for wild food led me to learn as an adult. Join me as we hunt, fish, forage, and cook incredible meals to share with friends and family. This is WildFed. We're headed south to Savannah, Georgia, where we've been invited to take part in an alligator hunt and to tour an experimental Yaupon growing operation. Most Americans have never heard of Yaupon, North America's only native caffeine-containing plant. You're probably familiar with its South American cousins, yerba mate and guayusa. Both are fantastic plants, but while we've been busy importing them, we've been ignoring their cousins that grow right here at home. This is Lou Thulman. We recently connected online, and this is where he first started experimenting with Yaupon.
We're out 5 minutes from downtown Savannah. I used to walk around here, so I found this stand of wild Yaupon, which I started using as my source to experiment, play with it, roast it in the kitchen at my house.
Right.
I could, I brought Albert over here, we'd walk and enjoy the outside, but also I would gather my Yaupon for those very early stages of just playing with it, testing it, and trying to understand it. You know, so that's kind of where we are now. You can see the new flush, right on the same.
Right.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's beautiful.
As you know, we all want caffeine.
Yeah.
The whole world is running on it.
This was the caffeine source for North America. Right. So almost all the tribes in the southeastern part of the United States drank Yaupon. Almost all of them. It was ubiquitous amongst the tribes, ceremonially, medicinally, and also just as friendships. I started studying it. I realized this story was starting to open up as really an important story and an important plant. Kind of an American treasure that had been just forgotten.
Must be exciting for you to be at the epicenter of the rediscovery of something like this. I mean, how does it feel like for you? I mean, I get a strong sense of mission and purpose when you talk about it, you know?
And my emotions well up when I think about it.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
About now.
There's something about plant people that's always fascinated me. Sometimes it's like a plant just reaches out and captures someone, and they become ambassadors for that species. You can really feel the way Yaupon has gotten a hold of Lou.
And a nice leaf.
Yeah, beautiful. You get that bitter after that, it's phytochemical rich, those alkaloids. Yeah, I think it's really interesting that it's got the caffeine, but it's also got the theobromine, right? So you've got like that thing that people are after in the chocolates, right? It's like it's getting that strong
elixir of the gods.
Yeah,
that's the alkaloid that gives you that kind of, I call it an ethereal buzz. It's kind of like that, it's just kind of a nice feeling. I don't know if it's a buzz, but it's caffeine. It's part of the caffeine pathway. I'd like to see a better understanding of its medicinal value. I think there is some medicinal value that modern culture could probably use. I think we need a lot of it. I'd like the wisdom of the ancient world to be better understood also, so the story about this plant is better known. A lot of that information is just not that available, but I want that to be a common knowledge. And I want the plant just to be revered for what it is.
We're in South Carolina, just outside Savannah, where Lou's friend manages an extensive wetland used recreationally by a variety of people. Part of his job is removing mature alligators that are big enough to injure or even kill a person. He's offered to take me out on one of his nuisance tags and has a mature bull in mind that he'd like taken off the property. This is Dan. He looks like your classic American cowboy with a serious demeanor built from years in the field. While this is less of a hunt and more of a cull, I'm here for the meat and excited for the opportunity.
So we have, nuisance tags that we apply for every year, and it allows us to hunt with a rifle during the daylight hours.
Okay.
And the problem with these big ones is they're smart.
Yeah.
So
When you say big one, how old are they?
probably 50 years old. Wow. Yeah. So trying to get a big one that knows the game, it's not uncommon when you're putting the boat in to have the smaller ones actually swim towards you while you're getting the boat out, and because they're curious. Yeah. And the big ones, as soon as you shine the light one time, they go up under the bank, and you won't see them the rest of the night.
You notice a difference in how they eat as far as meat quality with age or anything?
It's just like anything else. Now, of course, the tenderloins and the tail are just like a deer. It doesn't really matter what age they are; it's still good.
All that dark meat.
Yeah, but the smaller ones generally eat better. We'll get them, and then you can see if that table will hold him up.
All right, man. Well, I'll be following your lead. You just tell me, anything you need me to know, and I'll listen. And
we'll gear up, and we'll go down the road here and park short and walk up the glass. You got binoculars, good, and we'll see if we can see them and see if we can get a shot.
Okay, great.
All right.
My brother Caleb and Lou's son Albert are joining us too. If we're successful, it'll be good to have some helping hands, and knowing it's family makes it even better. As we set off by ATV, I'm trying to keep my mind focused. Even though I'm just the shooter, we're still after an animal as ancient as a dinosaur and as fearsome as anything alive today.
We'll walk from here.
It's not long before Dan spots the gator sunning himself on the bank of the canal.
See him laid up right on the bank there. No, that's a good one. See how wide he is?
Yeah, he looks real wide.
So we're probably not going to be able to get a side shot on him. But the way he's laying up on that bank, when we get closer, I'm going to get up on the road a little there, and we'll see if you can get a good shot. You're not going to be able to get that spot, I doubt. But if you can hit him in the spine.
Yeah, in his back.
Hit him in, get as close to between the shoulders as we can get, right in the spine, and that should anchor him.
Okay.
What's your angle look like?
It could be.
I've never shot at one.
It doesn't feel great.
I've got to be honest, I'm not really comfortable with this shot. The angle isn't great, and I'd prepared for a headshot, so the idea of an anchoring shot to the spine isn't what I've imagined.
Hit him again.
Not what we were hoping for. He's back in the water before I can take a second shot.
Give me that rod, Albert.
There's no blood, there's no bubbles. We aren't even sure where or if I've hit him. Dan proceeds to search the canal with a treble hook in hopes of snagging him.
I thought he left more of a mud trail. Wouldn't think he'd be able to hide in this shallow water, but... I don't know, it didn't act like he got hit though.
So at this point, we don't really know where he was hit or how well he was hit or where he's gone. So Dan's over here, looking for him. At least we got some entertainment here. Wow. He's amazing. Beautiful animal. I hate to leave an old man wounded like that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, like I hear people all the time, I know I hit him. 44 yards, I can't imagine I didn't hit him.
Just with a big caliber, 22, 23. That's kind of what you can expect sometimes, unless you really get him in the head, which obviously we could not. But a big caliber like that, even if you shoot them, in the back and the shoulder, they usually will, the shock will lurch them. They might still slide off before you get to them, but that thing immediately took a right turn.
Yeah.
Didn't really even flinch. I didn't see any, this should have been a big spray of mud if you missed that too.
After 2 hours of searching, Dan thinks this gator is uninjured. He suggests we check back later and see if he's resurfaced.
Oh, well, sorry, sir. I could put a hole in you.
We'll come back in a little while.
Man.
See what we see.
Lou's invited us to spend a day at the family farm, where he might be the first person to experiment with growing Yaupon as a row crop.
What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having us out at the farm, man.
Welcome.
This is amazing, man. What year is this from?
This is like a 50 something. It's the easiest thing in the world to drive.
Really? Because it doesn't look
runs
like
a
it.
Singer sewing machine. It's just, you can't kill it.
Came right off.
Take it down to the first row of Yaupon.
Okay.
Lou's products are sourced entirely from wild plants, but here on the farm, he's experimenting with growing it as a cultivated crop.
Everything we learn here is basically designed to enhance what's in the wild. So once we figure out,
Create some ideal conditions for it.
we'll help it. We'll give it organically stuff that it really longs for, genetically, that trying to find out how the different compounds express themselves.
How long has it been now you've been messing with Yaupon?
8 years.
8 years, okay. And you don't have a background in horticulture or anything like that, so this has all been learn as you go, basically.
Learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made every mistake you can possibly
Right,
imagine.
right.
Plus, I do it 2 or 3 times before it sinks in. We're trying to prove this is a good crop. This is a good crop for food, and it's economical to do.
It's easy to grow organically because it's a wild plant.
Yeah, the pests don't like it because of the caffeine, and it's drought resistant. It's pretty cold resistant. So from a row crop standpoint, it's pretty exciting because once you get it going, depending on what protocol we decide to use or go with, that's it. Every 70, 80-year-old herbalist said the same thing. I want to do, David Winston, I wanted to do that 30 years ago. I said, well, you should have.
Market wasn't ready for it,
Wasn't ready. So,
I mean, you needed Guayusa and yerba mate to
blaze the
hit
trail.
here first
To
for
blaze
people
the
to get
trail.
it. I mean, if it's now's its time. It's like the environment in the United States is just right, with the local food movement and the desire for plant medicine coming back and all that. It seems like this is the moment that it's poised to break out,
the message that might be interesting to you, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but if you believe in that DNA connection and communication, we're not fucking with these. They're wild.
Yeah.
We're transplanting them, which the Native Americans did as well. They
Oh, yeah.
took them with them.
Sure.
So it's kind of cultivating a wild plant to see, and the Native Americans did that. They cultivated.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
cultivate.
Tending the wild, we
They
call
tended
it. Yeah.
So I hadn't really thought about that until
Yeah.
a second ago.
Interesting, okay. What's really fascinating to me about this operation here is Yaupon is a wild plant, indigenous to North America, but here he's taken that wild plant and we're seeing the earliest stages of plant domestication here. These are still wild genetics that he's got planted in these fields, but he's trying to develop cultivars. So what we're seeing here is the earliest stages of what will eventually be a domesticated crop. At present, all these plants we're seeing growing, all the ones we've tasted, the genome is still wild, and that vigorous growth that it's known for and that adaptation it's known for is what's going to lead it, to become a domesticated crop. For me, there's a little bit of sadness in that because I
love the idea of wild plants, but at the same time, I really like the idea of this plant becoming a consumable here in North America, because all of these different caffeine plants are fueling, the United States workforce, but none of them are from here. So we're really seeing kind of a renaissance in how Americans get their caffeine. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. It's a big opportunity, and it's amazing to see somebody with a passion for this plant, with a vision for it reaching North Americans in that way. Dan's seen some other large alligators in the area that he's interested in removing, so we head off to a nearby pond to have a look around. I feel conflicted. Dan's here to remove gators and has an annual allotment of nuisance tags to fill. We've traveled 1,000 miles to be here, and I want to put some alligator meat in the freezer, but I'm questioning the ethics of going after another one, having taken a shot already. But I trust Dan's judgment, and I'm also eager to see more alligators out here in their natural habitat. Hey Dan, just so I say it, I'm not caring too much about a big trophy. I'm after food value, so.
Yeah, well, we'll slip down here and see what's here today.
There's no shortage of gators here, but every time we close the distance, they slip beneath the surface.
Can't shoot them because my truck's down there.
We started with high hopes, but as the sun climbs higher in the sky, the morale sinks even lower.
My college buddies came down one time. He missed the same gator 7 times in 2 days before he hit it.
I appreciate Dan trying to cheer me up, but all I can think about is that gator I shot at. I'm wishing I could go back and take that shot again. Finally, we decide to return to where we started. Maybe that mature bull has resurfaced. Maybe there's still a chance for another shot. As we walk out along the canal, it's Albert who spots something on the surface of the water.
Good eye. Thank you.
It's him, and this time, the shot is perfect.
Well, he just opened his eye.
Hit him again, hit him again, hit him again. Jack.
You got him. Get dead.
There's the shot I hit him with before in his back. It's a powerful moment. As we pull him out of the water, I get a sense of just how big and how old this animal is. It's humbling, but there's also a feeling of success and completion.
Thank you.
He's dead, but like many reptiles, his body will continue to move for hours. I've seen this with turtles and lizards, but it's almost haunting with an animal this large.
that open too.
Wow.
The hunt is now over, but the work has just begun. First, we tag the alligator to comply with state and federal regulations. Then, we start cutting.
Okay, give it a yank. Ready?
I've never butchered an alligator before, but I've done my homework and I feel confident we can get it done. As the meat starts filling the cooler, we're reminded of the reason we came. This old bull will provide us with meals for months to come. After packing up the hide and a cooler brimming with meat, we take a moment to reflect back on the day. This has been a unique opportunity to participate in the management of a shared habitat, helping to maintain the future of this open space for the people who visit and the wildlife that lives here. The next afternoon, we head over to the Wild, a dockside restaurant specializing in freshly sourced local seafood. We brought a tenderloin from our alligator and steeped some Yaupon to use in tonight's cocktails. I'm really excited since Dan and Lou have told me some great things about the chef. This is Tony Seachrist.
Ow.
Owner, operator, and head chef.
Perfect.
Tony's never worked with alligator, but he's got some ideas and is excited to work with a new flavor from his local landscape.
You can still see the oxygen coming out of the meat. That's crazy. This is the most interesting meat I think I've ever worked with. So I'm gonna treat this a little bit like how we treat some of our sweetbreads. So what we'll do is a little salt on here, we'll toss it in a little bit of flour, and we're gonna kind of do is we're gonna do a twice fry. One is very, very gentle, pull it out, and then we'll start over again and essentially take garlic, white wine, rosemary, and just kind of like braise it. So again, this is kind of an experiment for me. I don't really know what this is how this is gonna be handled as far as like how the meat actually tenses up.
Yeah. Doesn't look like it's seasoned up too much, though.
It doesn't. With the advent of Cisco and all these big box places, everybody's food tastes the same.
Yeah, it is the same.
It is the same,
food.
right? So like, I guess it's like a geotag of flavor. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
well said. Well said.
And I like utilize, even if it's like, let's just say we don't have the world's greatest muscadines or whatever.
Yeah.
There are muscadines. So I want to learn how to cook with that.
Yes.
And what makes those unique or special or interesting, whatever. So that's really sort of important to me, and I've been thinking about that a lot more lately. A lot of times wild harvested products it's a lot more work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, sometimes they're woodier.
And processing them for usually a bit more, right?
The work is worth it.
Yeah.
Especially
if you navigate the world through your palate a little bit, if you navigate the world through your gut, and you sort of, it becomes like a passion, then it matters, right?
Exactly.
It's worth that work. Yeah.
Let's give that a try.
All right.
See where we're at here. We'll squeeze a lemon on it too. That's nice.
Ooh, I'll take a little hit of that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
A little acid.
Wow.
How was it? All right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's amazing.
Hey,
how are you? Good to see you.
How's it going? How is practice?
Hey, what's up, man? Things are going so good over here, man.
As the sun starts to set, our guests begin arriving. Lou and Dan bring their families along to share in the meal we've all harvested together. Their kids start bringing in redfish they've caught off the dock to add to our feast. It's moments like these that make all the work worthwhile. Meanwhile in the bar, Tony's crew is mixing up drinks with the Yaupon tea we harvested and some maple syrup we made in Maine before our drive down here. One round is made in the style of a maple-infused old fashioned. The other is a Yaupon-inspired mint julep. Usually we drink Yaupon as a warm or cold brew tea, so we're all eager to try it in a new and celebratory way. It'll be a nice touch to a meal well earned.
Cheers! Cheers!
That's delicious. Wow, that's really good.
That's like the taste of a little Maine, little Georgia.
As we sip our drinks, telling stories and jokes, we have an opportunity to get to know each other even more. It's great to see these guys in another context and to get to know their families too. To start, Tony serves up a freshly caught flounder, and then out comes the gator. It's savory and aromatic, and the white wine adds depth of flavor. People don't always expect to enjoy reptile meat, but Tony's nailed it. Even the skeptics go back for more.
I said, I can't believe I'm going for more gator.
Yeah! Hey Albert, it's been awesome meeting you, man. You're a good dude.
Nothing brings people together like hunting, foraging, and sharing a meal. It's these timeless practices that have always brought people together. And even though we've only spent 3 days with these folks, they already feel like old friends. Hey, thanks for watching WildFed. If you like the show, go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and give us a follow on our social media channels where you can stay up to date on everything we're hunting, fishing, foraging, and cooking. Also, check out the WildFed podcast, where we dive deep into the wild foods lifestyle with all kinds of conversations with friends and experts. If you'd like to keep this content free, consider leaving us a financial donation at wild-fed.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter, where we share everything you need to know to join the subsistence.